November last year. Sir, coming back to the issues that I want to raise, full compensation to the state for loss of revenue on account of GST implementation is getting delayed unduly. State revenues have taken drastic fall due to pandemic. I urge upon the government to release the pending GST compensation to the states on time. The center's November 2021 notification to increase the goods and service tax GST on several textiles and apparel from 5% to 12% for items with a value slab of above rupees 1,000 is a big blow to the handloom sector. The handloom and craft sector is under severe distress, as the average handloom's household income is only rupees 3,042 per month. I would request through you, sir, for a consideration to the proposal of flat 5% GST on all textile and apparel products. The GST Council has imposed 28% GST tax on full face value of bets placed on online gaming as opposed to gross gaming revenue. The decision was implemented from 1st October 2023 with a review after 6 months. A consequence of GST Council's decision is need to decide whether the amendment is clarificatory and therefore has a retrospective application, or whether it should be made effective only after 1st October 2023. This is important for estimating past period liabilities. Hence, a clarification is needed. Sir, India needs to simplify its tax system to ease the compliance burden on small and medium businesses. Simplifying tax rates would add to the MSMEs, make imports competitive, and improve exports prospects. GST on Kendu leaves has been increased from 5% to 18%. Central tax on Kendu leaf was earlier zero. Central government should place this matter in the GST Council and revise the rate to 5%. Honorable Chief Minister of Odisha, Sri Naveen Patnaik, on Wednesday announced a special package for the welfare of 8 lakh Kenduli pluckers and other persons engaged in the trade. Sir, through you, I request the central government to reduce GST on Kendu leaves from 18% to 5%. Our Public Account Committee in one of their reports have asked the center to provide GST exemption for imported pharmaceutical products used by the hospitals and research organizations. The committee observed that the issue of frequent notifications and then repeated clarification is indicative of lack of clarity and coordination. The committee has recommended that tax research units may ensure that notifications includes examples for clarity and court cases. I request that recommendation of committee may be implemented. Sir, in conclusion, it is vital to prioritize areas where immediate reforms are needed. With these words, I conclude. Thank you, sir.
श्री धैर्यशील माने जी।
धन्यवाद अध्यक्ष महोदय। वस्तु एवं सेवा कर विधेयक 2023, इस पर आपने मुझे बात करने का मौका दिया, इसलिए मैं आपका आभारी हूं। माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, वित्त मंत्री श्रीमती सीतारमण जी द्वारा पेश किए गए केंद्रीय वस्तु एवं सेवा कर दूसरा संशोधन विधेयक 2023 का मैं अपनी पार्टी शिवसेना की ओर से समर्थन करता हूं। वित्त मंत्री जी द्वारा प्रस्तुत विधेयक वस्तु और सेवा कर के अपीलीय न्यायाधिकरण के निर्माण को सक्षम करने के लिए केंद्रीय वस्तु और सेवा कर अधिनियम 2017 में संशोधन करता है, जिसका मैं स्वागत करता हूं। अध्यक्ष जी, भारत में वस्तु एवं सेवा कर जीएसटी व्यवस्था के कार्यान्वयन से पहले अपीलनीय प्राधिकरण तंत्र अलग अलग केंद्रीय और राज्य मूल्य वर्धित कर वैट अधिनियमों के तहत मौजूद था। हालांकि जीएसटी की शुरुआत के साथ जीएसटी शासन के तहत आने वाली अपीलों से निपटने के लिए एक समर्पित अपीलनीय प्राधिकरण की आवश्यकता स्पष्ट हो गई थी। अध्यक्ष जी, केंद्रीय वस्तु और सेवा कर अधिनियम 2017 शुरुआत में जीएसटी के गठन के लिए प्रदान किया गया था। हालांकि विभिन्न प्रक्रियात्मक और कानूनी बाधाओं के कारण इसके संचालन में देरी हुई। नतीजन अपीलनीय प्राधिकरण के आदेशों के खिलाफ राहत चाहने वाले करदाताओं के पास सीधे उच्च न्यायालय के संपर्क में जाने के अलावा कोई विकल्प नहीं बचा था। अध्यक्ष जी, जैसे कि विदित है, यह विधेयक मुख्य रूप से केंद्रीय वस्तु और सेवा कर अधिनियम 2017 की धारा 109 और 110 में संशोधन करने पर केंद्रित है, ताकि उनमें ट्रिब्यूनल सुधार अधिनियम 2021 के साथ संरेखित किया जा सके। अध्यक्ष जी, यह विधेयक केंद्रीय वस्तु एवं सेवा कर अधिनियम 2017 के प्रावधानों को ट्रिब्यूनल सुधार अधिनियम 2021 के साथ संरेखित करने के लिए विभिन्न तकनीकी और परिणामी परिवर्तन भी करता है। अध्यक्ष जी, प्रस्तावित संशोधन से जीएसटीएटी के कामकाज और समग्र जीएसटी विवाद समाधान तंत्र पर महत्वपूर्ण प्रभाव पड़ने की उम्मीद है। जीएसटीटी के संचालन के साथ करदाताओं को समर्पित अपीलनीय प्राधिकरण तक पहुंचने के लिए एक संधि प्राप्त होगी, जिससे संभावित रूप से विवादों का तेजी से समाधान हो सकेगा। इससे बदले में कारोबारी माहौल और सुधार होगी और जीएसटी नियमों के अनुपालन में को भी बढ़ावा मिलेगा। जीएसटीटी उच्च न्यायालयों पर बोझा कम करने के लिए मदद करेगा, जिससे उन्हें होने वाली जटिल कानूनी मुद्दों पर ध्यान केंद्रित करने में अनुमति मिलेगी। जीएसटीटी में अप्रत्यक्ष विशेष ज्ञान वाले कानूनी पेशेवरों को शामिल करने से निर्णयों की गुणवत्ता में वृद्धि होने और जीएसटी कानूनों के लगातार कार्यान्वयन में सुनिश्चित करने में उम्मीद है। अध्यक्ष जी, जीएसटीटी की सफलता इसके कुशल प्रशासन और मामलों के समय पर निपटान पर निर्भर करेगी। इससे सुचारू संचालन के लिए सुनिश्चित करने के लिए पर्याप्त संसाधन और बुनियादी ढांचा महत्वपूर्ण रहेगा। अध्यक्ष जी, केंद्रीय वस्तु एवं सेवा कर विधेयक 2023 लंबे समय से प्रतीक्षित जीएसटीएटी के को कार्यान्वित करने के लिए दिशा के एक महत्वपूर्ण कदम का प्रतिनिधित्व करता है। इस कदम से जीएसटी विवाद समाधान तंत्र में उल्लेखनीय सुधार होने की उम्मीद है, जिससे करदाताओं और सरकार दोनों को ही लाभ होगा। हालांकि जीएसटी की पूरी क्षमता को साकार करने के लिए कुशल कार्यान्वयन और पर्याप्त संसाधन सुनिश्चित करना महत्वपूर्ण होगा। मैं आदरणीय मंत्री जी से ये अनुरोध करना चाहूंगा कि ये जो अभी नया ढांचा बन रहा है, कानून बन रहा है, उसके माध्यम से करदाताओं को बहुत फायदा होने वाला है। लेकिन अभी जो प्रलंबित केसेस चल रहे हैं, जो उच्च न्यायालय में अभी पेंडिंग है, उसके लिए सरकार क्या करने वाली है, उसका प्रावधान इसमें कुछ नहीं दिख रहा। निश्चित रूप से उनको भी रिलीफ इसके माध्यम से मिलने की बहुत बड़ी जिम्मेदारी सरकार की तरफ है, क्योंकि वो आज भी लंबित बहुत समय से बहुत सारे करदाता उच्च न्यायालय में अपना केस लड़ रहे हैं। अध्यक्ष जी, जीएसटीटी के सदस्यों की नियुक्ति और कार्यप्रणाली पे पारदर्शिता और जवाबदेही सुनिश्चित करने के लिए स्पष्ट निर्देशों और प्रक्रियाओं की आवश्यकता है। कुल मिलाकर केंद्रीय माल और सेवा कर विधेयक 2023 जीएसटी शासन के विकास में सकारात्मक विकास का प्रतीक है। हालांकि चिंताओं को दूर करना और नई अपीलनीय प्रणाली में सुचारू परिवर्तन सुनिश्चित करना महत्वपूर्ण है। केवल प्रभावी कार्यवाहन ही के माध्यम से ही जीएसटीएटी प्रस्ताव वास्तव में अपनी इच्छित उद्देश्यों को पूरा कर सकता है और अधिक कुशल संज्ञागत जीएसटी प्रशासन में योगदान दे सकता है। इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ मैं अपनी वाणी को विराम देता हूं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
श्री शंकर लालवानी जी।
धन्यवाद सभापति जी। मैं इस बिल का समर्थन करता हूं। माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी ने व्यापारियों के हित में बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण बिल आज पेश किया है। वैसे 1 जुलाई 2017 को जब जीएसटी लागू हुआ था, माननीय मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में वन नेशन वन टैक्स का बहुत बड़ा सपना साकार हुआ था। और उस समय 2017 में अगर जीएसटी का रजिस्ट्रेशन देखें तो सिर्फ 64 लाख था, जो कि आज बढ़कर 1,39 करोड़ रजिस्ट्रेशन जीएसटी में हो गए हैं। इंस्पेक्टर राज खत्म हुआ, रिकॉर्ड कलेक्शन हो रहा है। माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी की अध्यक्षता में राज्यों के प्रतिनिधियों की जीएसटी काउंसिल है, समय समय पर वो संशोधन भी करती है, विचार भी करती है। कभी कभी व्यापारियों के बीच में और जीएसटी के बीच में जो विवाद की स्थिति रहती है तो वो न्यायालय में जाना पड़ता है, और जब न्यायालय में जाना पड़ता है तो उसमें समय भी लगता है, एनर्जी भी लगती है, और न्यायालय में पहले ही बहुत सारे प्रकरण लंबित हैं, लगभग 14,000 प्रकरण हाईकोर्ट में इसके लंबित हैं, और उसी को लेकर अपील के लिए ट्रिब्यूनल जो बनाया गया है, और इस ट्रिब्यूनल में अध्यक्ष सदस्य की पात्रता, आयु आदि के लिए ये बिल लाया गया है। इससे व्यापारियों को तो लाभ मिलेगा ही सही, और मोदी सरकार हमेशा व्यापारियों के हित में काम करती है, ये बिल उसके लिए लाया गया है। मैं माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी से एक निवेदन करना चाहता हूं कि अनेकों राज्यों में दो दो ट्रिब्यूनल बनाई जा रही हैं। मध्य प्रदेश में एक ट्रिब्यूनल बनाई गई है, लेकिन वो भोपाल में है। मेरा मानना है कि इंदौर मध्य प्रदेश की कमर्शियल सिटी और सबसे ज्यादा रजिस्ट्रेशन जीएसटी के इंदौर में है, तो एक ट्रिब्यूनल बेंच इंदौर में भी बनाई जाए, ये मैं मांग करता हूं, और मैं इस बिल का समर्थन करता हूं। धन्यवाद।
श्री लाहू कृष्णा जी।
Thank you for allowing me to speak on this, sir. I appreciate the ministry to setting up the appellate tribunal. It's a move in the positive direction, sir. Uh, it is very much required when we need justice. We need to have another set of bench where we can actually go and represent our case. So I appreciate it. Really appreciate the ministry for coming up with this. But there's one issue with this, sir, which is with regards to the age limit that has been prescribed for both the president and the members. And there's a provision in the bill wherein retired judges can actually be inducted. So my request from my party side is this should not be a place where, again, the retired judges will actually come and settle in this, sir. So it should not be a retirement home for them. So I hope ministry and the government will take care of this, sir. So coming to the GST, when I'm asked to speak on this, when I inquired with a lot of MSMEs, what is the issues that they're facing with the GST regime? We have done amazingly well. The GST, whatever we're getting from various states, have grown exponentially, and it has been dispersed to the state governments also very well. And it has helped a lot of MSMEs, mostly in the whichever are being moved from offline to online. They've done exceedingly well in the last 6 to 7 years, sir. But there are few issues that needs to be addressed, mainly with respect to the MSMEs that are actually working with the government, sir. Wherein most of the times when I inquired these MSMEs, how are you doing it? They're saying, yes, with the private players, when we are doing transactions with the player, with the B2B with the private players, yes, we are fine. Wherein one or two issues are there. But when we are doing the business to business with the governments or PSUs, central governments, state governments, that's where the major problem that most of them are facing, sir. With regards to the first problem they expressed was that they're not able to file the returns. When I inquired why you're not able to file the returns, the bill amount and the GST amount, in most of the cases, the PSUs or central government or state governments, even after they execute the contract, even after they do the work also, still they're not able to get these bill amounts and GST amounts. Because of this, they're not able to file the returns, sir. And because they are not able to file these returns, they're not able to pay the GST on time. So what is happening? On the government is getting the work done, either central government, state government, PSUs, everyone, they're getting the work done, but instead of paying the vendor, whoever has done the work, they're delaying it. Because the bills are being delayed, he is not able to file the returns. Once he doesn't file the return, there is another provision in this wherein the huge, when we delay it, delay filing the returns, there's a huge interest of almost 18% that is being laid on these MSMEs, sir. This is the issue that MSMEs has raised with me. This 18% itself, first thing is non-payment by the PSUs. Second is 18% interest that is being asked by this by the GST laid as a penalty on this, which is itself is very high because this has been there when the service sector regime was there. This 18% was there during the service sector was there. At that time, the PLR, where from the banks, what we are getting, what the MSMEs were getting at that time was around 15%, 12% plus 3%. That's around 15%. At that time, you put it around 18%. But now, when you look at the PLR, which the MSMEs are getting from the banks, it's hovering around 10%, which government has done exceedingly well to bring it down. So it's making the MSMEs more competitive across the world. But still the penalty is at 18%. So I request the ministry if the penalty can be reduced, because it is not the doing of these MSMEs, it's the doing of the governments which are not paying them. Because of the delays happening, because of that, huge fines are being levied upon them. So if the ministry can look into it, and if there is a provision of decreasing it, sir, last 1 minute, sir. And also, with regards to when you're doing the business to business transactions, the main ask from the MSMEs there is that we have issues with the cash flows. Why they have issues with the cash flows is they have to pay 18% of GST plus 10% TDS, and you return the 10% TDS after 1 year. So on the day he starts business, 20% or 28% is being paid to the government. So he has to wait for 1 year for this to be realized. So if this can be looked into, if the ministry can look into it and can come up with a solution, sir. And also last 2 points, sir. There is we are talking about ease of doing business. Prime Minister is very gung-ho about it, sir. But there is a number of slabs that are there, GST slabs that are there, almost to the number of 8 slabs that are there. When you look at countries like Singapore and other countries which are more progressive, there are only 2 slabs. So if ministry can look into it and bring it down, and also the maximum slab amount that is being levied upon is almost to the tune of 18 to 20 to 18%. So if that max slab amount can be reduced to 12% or 10%, which most of these progressive countries are doing, that would be great, sir. So if these can be, ministry can be looked into it, sir. And if this can be to looked at in a positive way, MSMEs, which are employing lakhs and lakhs of people in this country, which we want them to be very competitive across the world, which we want them to export, and which for whom we have come up with PLI schemes and all those things. If everything has to work and MSMEs has to compete across the world, I think these issues need to be sorted out, sir. I hope a positive reply from the minister, sir. Thank you very much.
माननीय मंत्री जी.
Let me thank all the honorable members who participated in the discussion. I appreciate that there are overall understanding of what the GST is trying to achieve, and it is the glitches or it is the difficulties which are being faced by many of those who are users of the GSTN portal which is being raised, and also the issue of the tax rates. I'll try to address each of the concern voiced by the members, the primary ones, that is. I thank Member Nishikant Dubey for having given a comprehensive overall picture of where the GST is today and from where it has reached here. Member from Indore, Sri Lalwani ji, of course, expressed his concern that there is one tribunal which is being announced from Bhopal for Madhya Pradesh. Every state is going to get 1+1, and the second one or maybe will be located in Indore, which is the commercial center, which is of course a decision which is based on the inputs which are given in the GST Council by the state officials as well. I understand his concern on that. There was this point mentioned by Member Sharmishta Sethi. I'm not sure if she's here now, asking for a reduction in the GST rate for Tendu leaves. This topic on the GST rates for Tendu leaves have been discussed, if I remember correct, more than once in the GST Council. And I think since 2017 itself, this has been subject of discussion. In my tenure, twice this has been discussed. And there is no unanimity of view, and therefore we are not able to arrive at a decision which Orissa might like. So the matter on the Kendu leaves lies there. But it is not because the GST Council did not take it up for discussion. It was taken up, but no unanimity has been arrived. Also, Member Sethi also raised this issue of taxation on online gaming with prospective effect, or if there is a need for a clarificatory exercise. The clarification on that levy was issued, sir. 28% is the tax, and as to who it will apply to, on who will the incidents fall, has been clearly explained. But this particular point that the valuation rules, I like to put it on record again that the valuation rules to exclude winnings is prospective. So I hope there's no confusion on that. The member from Shiv Sena, Dairishil Maneji, spoke about the cases which are pending in high courts and Supreme Court. And now that we are bringing in a legislation with amendments for setting up of the tribunal for appellate tribunal, GST's appellate tribunal. And this particular amendment, of course, is looking at the age limits so that it will be in alignment with the rest of the tribunals. I'd like to inform the honorable member that the taxpayer is at his will, liberty, to withdraw from the High Court, from the Supreme Court, and go to the tribunal which is getting set up so that his case can be speeded up now that there's a new bench which is established at the states and the appellate which is in Delhi. So it is well within the right of the taxpayer who can take it up further, withdraw from there and come over to the. Sir, honorable member from Andhra Pradesh has raised quite a few issues on the GST and the fact that there are eight slabs and that the penalty levied on MSMEs and so on. First of all, sir, on rate rationalization, there is a group of ministers which is formed within the GST. It has had a few sittings, but because the chairman of the committee was the chief minister, the former chief minister of Karnataka, and now that there's a change of government in Karnataka, the committee's chairman's name will also have to be re-looked at. The committee is reconstituted and so on. So that work of rate rationalization is a larger exercise which has been undertaken by the GOM on the issues being faced by MSMEs. The GST Council at the state level and the GST per se at the central level also interacts with various MSME groups. They have had quite a few issues with which the council's teams have sat through and also addressed their issues. So this issue of PSUs not paying the MSMEs, and as a result, they themselves will have to pay the tax on an amount which is not received, has been, I think, to a large extent about the central PSUs have been addressed. I personally involved myself in saying the PSUs cannot delay payment beyond 45 days. It was mentioned during one of my budget speech, after which we followed it up with the PSUs. And once when there was a fairly unbelievable number floating around in the public domain about the total amount which is pending from PSUs for MSMEs, I was perturbed. I went back to check it up. This understanding that PSU means central may not always be correct, sir. Yes, there are PSUs, central PSUs, which owe money to the MSME, and all of us ministers have been very keenly observing them that the delay should not be beyond 45 days, and the central PSUs largely now go by that understanding. But however, I don't have an authority to speak about state PSUs. And it is not a secret that state PSUs who owe a large amount to the MSMEs. And the problem therefore remains for the MSMEs, but it is outside of my realm. It is very much the realm of the states where the same concern for MSME should be understood by the state governments and they should quickly clear the bills. I would like to inform the member that this budget which was read out on the 1st February 2023, we made it a point to say that large companies cannot benefit from claiming those fiscal incentives and other incentives which are given to them without paying the dues to the MSMEs, as they would normally show it as an expenditure, that expenditure which is going as payments to the MSME, and as a result, that expenditure should not be taxed, is the common sense understanding. But you've not paid them. And without paying them, if any company shows it as an expenditure, they cannot draw the claims for having spent that money when actually you've not spent it. You've not paid the MSMEs. So we brought that change in this particular budget so that these advantages which accrue to the larger companies without actually paying the smaller companies should not accrue till actually they make the payment, whichever uh, fiscal year it may be. So we have been fairly sensitive to the needs of the MSMEs. I'm quite happy to hear more about it. And when I was recently in Vijayawada, honorable member met me with a delegation and gave me also a lot of representations. We'll take that on board. So that being my reply to all those honorable members who spoke about it, I'm very grateful, sir, and I seek the House and its cooperation to pass this amendment.
प्रश्न है कि विधेयक पर विचार किया जाए। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में वो हाँ कहें, जो सदस्य विरोध में वो ना कहें। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। विधेयक पर विचार करने हेतु प्रस्ताव को स्वीकृत किया गया। अब सभा विधेयक पर खंडवार विचार करेगी। प्रश्न है कि खंड 2 विधेयक का अंग बने। जो सदस्य इस पक्ष में वो हाँ कहें, जो सदस्य इस विरोध में वो ना कहें। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों पक्ष के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। खंड 2 विधेयक का अंग बना। प्रश्न ये है कि खंड 1 अधिनियम सूत्र और विधेयक का पूरा नाम विधेयक का अंग बने। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में वो हाँ कहें, जो सदस्य विरोध में वो ना कहें। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। खंड 1 अधिनियम सूत्र और विधेयक का पूरा नाम विधेयक के अंग बने। मंत्री जी अब ये प्रस्ताव करेंगे कि विधेयक को पारित किया जाए।
That the bill be passed.
प्रश्न है कि विधेयक को पारित किया जाए। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में वो हाँ कहें, जो सदस्य विरोध में वो ना कहें। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। प्रस्ताव स्वीकृत हुआ और विधेयक पारित हुआ। आइटम नंबर 31 अनिंतर कर संग्रह विधेयक 2023। माननीय मंत्री जी।
Sir, I rise to move that the bill to provide for the immediate effect of for a limited period of provisions in bills relating to the imposition or increase of duties of customs or excise be taken into consideration. So thank you, sir. I'll briefly highlight the need for a bill of this nature. So Article 265 of the Constitution provides that no tax shall be levied or collected except by the authority of law. What this bill seeks to obtain is this authority from the Parliament to provisionally levy and collect the newly imposed or increased duty of the customs and excise for 75 days. I'll briefly give you the background, sir. The Provisional Collection of Taxes Bill 2023, that which is before us, proposes to replace the erstwhile Provisional Collection of Taxes Act 1931 with just minor changes, which is technical in nature. So this law is in existence from 1931. We have just made minor changes, and we are here, therefore, not with a new law, but with a mildly amended existing law. The provisions of the bill empowers collection provisionally. I underline the word provisionally. During the period between the introduction and the enactment of the bill, the increased customs or central excise duty where such duty rate is increased beyond the statutory rate approved by the parliament, or where such duty is newly imposed. So if we are bringing in something and that which has to be implemented from a particular date, this provisional collection of taxes bill, which exists from 1931, is the one which gets invoked. This bill confines this interim period to 75 days, and where the bill is not enacted within 75 days or is enacted with amendments, the provisionally collected taxes are to be refunded. So I would like to make it very clear, sir, that the amendments to this or rates increased by the invocation of this particular provisional collection of taxes bill 1931 is valid only up to 75 days, within which I need to make it sure that it gets approval of the parliament. If it doesn't get the approval of the parliament, then the amount collected will have to be refunded. I already said that Article 265 gives us the constitution of the Constitution, provides that no tax can be levied or collected except by authority of law. So if I don't have a law within 75 days, the amount collected becomes not valid and therefore it has to be repaid. So the provision is required for reasons. Why do we at all then need to collect it temporarily? Why do you want to provisionally collect it and run the risk that if you don't pass the bill, you'll have to pay the refund back? Why do we want to do it? This provision is required, sir, for reasons such as to provide tariff protection to domestic industry on immediate basis. So sometimes you will have to bring it immediately and not wait for the 75 days or not wait for the session to conclude, pass the bill and so on. So you want immediate relief to be given, moderate domestic prices. When the prices are going up, you need to moderate it, avoid speculation in the market, and also for revenue considerations.
माननीय सभासदों, माननीय सभापति जी, राम राम के ऊपर एक बात है कि बस में एक यंग आदमी जा रहा था, उसके साइड में गांव का एक बुजुर्ग बैठा था, तो उस यंग आदमी ने सिगरेट पीते हुए पूरे के पूरा धुआं ताऊ के ऊपर फेंकता था। ताऊ परेशान था पर कुछ किया नहीं। आखिर में उस युवक ने सिगरेट ऐसी पी कि एक चिंगारी ताऊ की धोती के ऊपर पड़ गई। तब उस यूथ को लगा कि मैंने सीमा पार कर दी है। तो उसने कहा, ताऊ तेरा गांव कौन सा है? बोला, क्या पूरे गांव की आग लगाएगा? तो कर दिया सो कर दिया, आगे क्या करना है? पूरा दिन इतना दुखी है, नहीं और क्या करोगे? मैसेज फ्रॉम लोकसभा सेक्रेटरी जनरल।
Sir, with your kind permission, I rise to report that the Lok Sabha at its sitting held on 19th December 2023 passed the National Capital Territory of Delhi Laws Special Provisions Second Amendment Bill 2023. I lay a copy of the said bill on the table.
जया जी, एक सेकंड मेरी सुनिए। मैं तो मेरी पीड़ा व्यक्त भी नहीं कर सकता। आज का दिन मेरे लिए बहुत ही चिंता का विषय है, हाउस में भी, हाउस के बाहर भी। House needs to be in order. The house will meet at 5 p.m. today.